Welcome to the Lightspeed Investing Podcast. I'm so glad to have Nathan. He is the founder of PodAllies, based out on the West Coast in Idaho. And I'm super excited to share with you a huge platform that he's been building, especially if you are an avid podcaster, if you love podcasts. This is an episode that you got to pay attention. How are you doing, Nathan?
I'm doing great.
On, man?
Thanks for having me on the show today, Philip.
Of course. When I learned about your journey, it was definitely a worthy one to do a deeper dive on. And I'm super excited to introduce you to our audience today. So you want to share with those listening, how did you get started in entrepreneurship? Because I know that the background was not necessarily always around podcasting. I mean, podcasting wasn't even like a thing, right? Until the last 2 decades or so. So you wanna talk about your come up and what got you inspired now, right, to do what you do?
Sure, that's a great question. So I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've built and sold 3 ventures. I'm working on number 4. PodUp and PodAllies is our services brand. And the first venture I created was my junior year in college, and I was a student at Brigham Young University in Utah studying entrepreneurship, and I wrote a business plan. And I was very passionate. I'd served a couple of years as a missionary for my church down in Brazil, a volunteer missionary. And I fell in love with the street kids, these kids that would come and ask me for money. And I was a volunteer, not getting paid anything. And I'd give them the change out of my pocket, but that quickly ran out. And I got back and I vowed to do something to make a lasting difference in their lives. And I before I left my mission in 1993, I hadn't even heard of the internet one time. And then while I was there in Brazil for those 2 years, the internet exploded. And when I came back, I wrote a business plan about how to use the internet to help children through adoption. And we won the business plan competition there at the university, got some seed money, won the US West business plan competition. And I'm very grateful for the help from those competitions and founders and mentors and people that helped us get going, and started adoption.com 30 years ago this year.
And what's crazy is the year of 1993 is the year I was born.
Yeah.
So, that just kind of goes to show how fast life and times have changed.
Yes.
Since then. So obviously, having this background, and having this love of helping people, why are you so passionate now about all things related to podcasting?
Yeah. So when I was selling adoption.com back in 2019, I signed up for a coaching program with Russell Brunson, who I think is the best digital marketer of this generation. And Russell made me a promise. He said, if I would publish every day for a year, I would find financial freedom. And I chose to trust him. He's a lot smarter than I am, and chose to do what he said. So I started a show, audio and video and social and blog and newsletter and website and all these different types of content, and syndicating to many different platforms. And I published every day for a year, and it kicked my butt. It was so hard. And about 3 months into that journey, I realized that I needed more than 30 different technologies to do this. I wasn't just doing a podcast. I was doing a venture around a podcast, right? And and those technologies cost almost $2,000 a month. And those technologies were missing a lot of the functionality that I needed, and they weren't integrated hardly at all together. It felt like I felt like I was duct taping them together. And one day in frustration, I was sitting down with one of my coworkers, and I just said, okay, somebody's got to create the all-in-one platform that brings all of these different tools together, with one username and password and one low price, right? And that was my aha moment. I saw what I saw what Shopify had done, where Shopify brought together 100 different technologies related to e-commerce, so that an entrepreneur could use one platform and create a venture around e-commerce. And now Shopify is worth $210 billion, growing rapidly. And And I could see that someone was going to do that within podcasting, bring together all of these different tools you needed to make a business around podcasting and all the other pieces of content that these content creators are making with their podcast. And that was my epiphany, my aha moment. And so I realized someone was going to make billions of dollars off of this. Might as well be me.
Yeah. So a couple of questions there, right? When Russell Brunson, you learned to publish every day. What medium did you go with? Was it podcasting or was it
was
copywriting?
It was podcasting. But I also did a blog.
Did he tell you that though, or did he just say publishing in general?
There were multiple formats you could choose from, but podcasting was one of them.
Oh, I see.
I made it a little bit harder than he required. And when I took my video podcast episode, I repurposed it into a variety of different content formats, like a blog post and social posts and short videos. Yeah.
Yeah. So for you, when you talk about these tools, without going into like all the details, I'm curious, like, what are you talking about? The ones that you had to like duct tape, right? What do they consist of?
Yeah. So you need an editor you need a recorder to start off with. And even before a recorder, you need tools to identify the guests and to book the guests and then you need a tool that helps you with the show notes. And then you record the guest, and then you need to, and there's different ways you can record the guest. You need a live stream tool, or you need a archive recorder. And then you need an editor. And with the editor, there's numerous tools within the editor, right? You need a regular editor like people are used to, or you need a text-based editor that you can edit the text and it edits it. There's a whole bunch of AI tools that you need within your editor. You need a tool to remove the extra sound, or you need a tool to enhance the audio. You need a tool to move your eyeballs to look at the camera if you're looking at the notes. A whole bunch of different tools to repurpose the content. And then you need a tool to build your website. You need a tool to publish to your website. You need a tool to syndicate out to all those different channels, like a Hootsuite does for social, but you need to be able to do that to all the different platforms that where you're going to syndicate your podcast. You need tools to engage with your audience. You need tools to market out there, like a tool to send a newsletter out to your following. You need a tool to manage your lead magnet. You need a tool to manage your ads. You need a tool to help you book on other shows. And then you need a tool for SEO, you need tools for analytics. You need tools for monetization. If you want to make money, tools for delivering ads, or if you're doing a course or doing a membership site, if you're going to do a coaching program, right? There's a lot of different ways you could monetize, and you need the tools to do that. So those are just a few of the tools, but it gives you an idea.
I think off the top of your head, you just listed like 20. Would you liken this to like the go high level?
Yes.
In marketing, right? But like for podcasting, where what you're really doing, if I'm hearing you correctly, is you're combining like all of the technical aspects of the producing of the content alongside the business aspects, like the CRM, right? The marketing, is that kind of correct?
And we don't have a CRM at this point. It's definitely on our roadmap. We haven't done a lot of the things that Go High Level does it, but Go High Level has brought together a whole bunch of different pieces to do that sales and marketing. We've brought together a whole bunch of different pieces to create, grow, and monetize a venture around a podcast specifically.
I love that. And so for those listening, who would this be a good fit for? And who would it not be for? Like when I'm hearing this, I hear, okay, if someone that is a solopreneur, maybe they don't necessarily have the luxury of team members. Like this is going to be great for them,
Yeah,
because
I feel it takes me
about the task that.
Yeah, I feel it takes me 80% less time to do my podcast than it did when I was using all of those other tools.
Right.
So yes, a solopreneur, it could definitely help them to save a ton of time and do it without having to have a huge team. Require lots of effort. One of the problems that I see in podcasting, the biggest problem probably is pod fade, right? Where you have a huge percentage of people that before they hit 12 episodes or whatever that number is, they've quit. And one of the biggest reasons that happens is it takes so much effort to do it, and they're just not getting enough return. And it's that gap between how much they put in and what they're getting out of it. It's just not worth it for them, and they quit. So what we're trying to do is we're lowering the barrier of what it takes to run it with all these tools. We have 18 AI tools. We're integrating them together. We're making it so it takes less effort, right? So that barrier comes down. And then we've already launched 10 monetization tools plus growth tools, and we've got several new monetization tools that are coming this quarter, like the membership tool and the events tool, right? And so we're making it easier for people to make more money. And so we're getting to the spot where it's a lot easier to run profitably. And all of these people that want to have a podcast, they have something to say, they need a voice, but it just wasn't worth it for them. By making it easier and helping them make more money, hopefully we can solve the problem of pod fade and let these people have a voice.
Okay. So that's a huge reason why you were inspired to do it. I love that clarity. But my question to you though is, like, when we talk about podcasting in general, so for example, right, this is a Lightspeed Investing Podcast. It's synonymous with our firm's name, and I'm kind of utilizing it to anchor, right, our marketing efforts, right, because this helps with visibility, credibility.
Yes.
And so what I'm curious is, like, can you elaborate, what do you mean when you say this is for people who want to build a venture around the podcast? Like, can we have some concrete examples?
Yes.
Maybe someone that you're working with right now, like, what does that really mean in this?
Okay. All right. So first of all, before I answer that question, we need to describe this continuum. So imagine a line, a straight line. Yeah. And on this left side of my left side of the line, it's people that have time, but they don't have money. And on this side of the line, my right side, you have people that have money, but they don't have time. Right. Sure. And all of these people are wanting to use a podcast to create a venture. Right. But they're in different places. So you asked, who are the best people to use the software? Well, if they're over here on this far left side of the line, and they have time but not money, then they would come license the software and they would do it themselves with the software. And we have that. You can come get power to the 60 tools. Instead of paying $2,000 a month, you can pay $150 a month and get access to the 60 tools that are integrated and save you a ton of time. If you're on the other side of the spectrum, and let's go back to the left side. The people on this left side are content creators, they're students, they're aspiring entrepreneurs, they're aspiring authors, that group of people, right?
And they're maybe experts. The solopreneurs, right?
The solopreneurs, yep. Okay. And then if you go to this right side of the equation, those are people that have money but don't have time. So maybe the CEO of a company, maybe a doctor, maybe a lawyer, maybe a successful author, right? That's already made it, that already has the money and doesn't have the time. On this side of the equation, these people come to us and say, I need a podcast, but I don't have time. Can I just record the episodes and you do everything else for me? And so about a year and a half ago, we launched a service called PodAllies. And PodAllies provides about 40 different services for podcasters. We have an incredibly talented team in Jaipur, India. And we have copywriters, designers, web developers, video editors, producers, marketers, all these different people. And you record your episodes, and then we provide about 40 different services for you. We'll book your guests, we'll edit your videos, we'll write your blog posts, we'll market your episode, we'll help you roll out your monetization streams, we'll book you on other shows, do your paid ads, do those steps that are necessary that person doesn't have the time to do. And then there's people that fall in the middle that they know they need a podcast. They can't afford this over here, but they know they can't do it themselves. And so we have a done with you program, Pod Mentors, and we can walk them through that process and assist them, coach them.
Yeah. So it sounds like you cover the gamut of people who like are in the beginning stages of starting a podcast or wanting to start a podcast in different ways, right? If you either have time or you have money, right, but not the other one. Question is, what about those who are, already in existence? like for example, someone who's already got a podcast going, who have a dedicated marketing team, right? Like what do you, I mean, and maybe the answer is no, right? Because that can always be viable. But like, do you offer anything there for the more seasoned
Yeah.
people where they already have a team in place? They already have certain, like things that are dialed in. I'm just kind of curious, like, do you help that demographic, or are you catering more so to the people at the beginning of their journey?
No, it could be anywhere in that process. So if you're an existing podcaster, you probably have figured out the production stuff, but you would love to save some time and do it easier. You'd probably love to syndicate to more channels and repurpose more. You'd probably like to save effort and time. You'd probably like to use AI better. So those people often come and they'll just license the software, and they'll take their
Okay.
existing team, and their existing team will use the software, and they'll do the process they're already doing, but maybe do it faster, do it easier, do it, not pay as much money in software, not spend as much time doing it, maybe syndicate it more places and get more reach.
Is this the same software that you were talking about for the do it yourself?
Yeah, it's the
So
same
maybe we'll
software.
just
Yep.
okay.
You could come
So
license that same software.
So are the people who are solopreneurs also licensing the software, or is it a little bit different for them?
No, it's the same software. It's the same
Okay,
product platform.
I see what you mean. Okay.
Now, often those people that have existing podcasts, though, where they hit their wall is they don't know how to grow and monetize, right? They've figured out the production, they've got some following, but they need help with the promotion. They need help to book them on other shows. They need help to, and so a lot of those people will can come and contract with us, and we will do the marketing for them, and we can help them roll out the monetization, even if their team does the production part.
Well, and let's get specifically like clear about the word monetization in this case, and I'll examples would help, right? So, are you saying, right, again, the podcast here, you're getting directly paid because someone's, for example, paying $10 a month? I don't necessarily know what that means in terms of direct monetization, right? So, like, is someone like going, oh, okay, this is an interesting podcast, I'm going to subscribe to a monthly membership, and hence that generates revenue since it's directly tied to listening to the podcast, or maybe you utilize the podcast to bring them into like a funnel for your business, and it indirectly anchors them, right, for that revenue.
That's right. Especially in the early days, and especially if you have a services business, that is one of the most effective strategies is to invite the guests on your show that are your ideal customers, and then you build those relationships of trust, and then you actually make, a lot of the people are making more money from their guests than they are from their audience or anything else. And especially in the first year or two for those businesses before they've built a lot of audience, that could generally make them a lot more money than ads or sponsorships could ever make them.
I see. But the idea here is, though, you do probably need to have some kind of proven offer, right? And not just an idea of what you're gonna do, because if monetization in this case is really bringing on guests that are your ideal client, right, then it would be again in my head, right, it's an indirect, it's an anchor to your actual business, but not necessarily like someone paying money to listen to the podcast, or something where, like, they're paying money to get access to the podcast itself.
Yeah. So I've done an ebook about podcast monetization, and I talk people through, I think it's 23, 24 different strategies. And there's a lot more strategies than that. Each podcaster is different, and each business model or the expertise of the podcaster, there's a lot of different ways to monetize. And so we can sit down with people that use our services, and we can help them find the right ways for them to monetize. You do not need an existing offer. We have a lot of people that start and they don't know what their offer is. If you have an existing business, if you have an existing product or service, it definitely helps. If you have an existing list of people that know you, like you, and trust you, have bought your products in the past, that really helps in getting you successful a lot faster. But if not, you can start from scratch and you can start building your following. And we can help you figure those out. We have 10 tools right now that help you roll out monetization, like courses and coaching, and membership comes next month, events comes next month, live streaming is there right now, e-commerce is there right now. So you can leverage existing tools and build out new revenue streams. And even if you have an existing revenue stream, if you have an existing business, when you build a podcast and you build a large audience that knows you, likes you, and trusts you, you often are probably going to find that you have new revenue streams that become available to you because of the podcast.
Okay, I love that. I love that. Creating wealth in efficient ways is always what we're about here at Lightspeed Investing. Now, my quick question to you is, can you provide maybe some, I know there's like 20, 30 different ways, but just some concrete examples of how it actually works, if you don't mind, like the different ways that you can monetize, but maybe like your top 3 that are your favorites.
Yeah, I love that. So let me restate, make sure I understand your question. You're wanting me to give a few examples of some of the best podcast monetization strategies.
Yes,
Is that correct?
and especially the ones that you hold near and dear to your own heart.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and I'll even try to give some examples of people that have done it. So,
Right.
There's a guy in rural Idaho named David Gilmore, and David Gilmore created a show called LDS Prepper. He loves to garden and he likes emergency preparedness, and he's created a show, and he's reached now 200. Last time I checked, he had over 250,000 follows, and he just does his gardening projects, his emergency preparedness projects, films his videos, and posts them. And people have come to trust him. He's very thorough in his analysis. He's a great guy to follow. I've personally taken 2 gardening classes from him because I live not far from him, and David Gilmore finds affiliate products. This is one of the ways that he makes money. He finds affiliate products, and then products that he loves, he uses them himself, and then he recommends them to other people. So this is the affiliate model. So he might make 15% or 30% or 40% maybe off of a product that he sells to his audience, gives them a discount, gives them a coupon code. I think one of the last times I spoke to him, he found this little battery backup unit you can put under your table and plug into the wall, and you just leave it plugged in. And then if your power ever goes out, you have battery backup in your house, and you can just plug things into it and you always have power. Real simple device. And I believe he made over $1 million in just a few months selling that to his audience, reselling an affiliate program.
But I think the power, if I'm hearing you correctly, is that trust to the audience, and that the fact that he has a great grasp on the audience, right? It's not a loose grasp; it's a really tight one. It's almost like if he recommends something, they're going to listen, they're going to follow, and they're going to purchase.
That's right. They know him, they like him, they trust him. He's given them so much value, and they're looking for his recommendations. That's one of the beautiful things around a podcast, is it helps you build that trust, that credibility in your niche. Okay, so that's
the right way, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's one example. Another example I'll give you, David Gilmore did as well. So David, and I helped him do this. He was looking for recurring revenue streams in his niche. And in the gardening niche, what is the recurring revenue? The recurring revenue is fertilizer, right? All throughout the season, you've got to put fertilizer down on your gardens. So I helped David, and we helped him create his own fertilizer brand. And he now sells that to people, and they buy that on a recurring basis all throughout the season to put on his garden.
And
so
I'm guessing this would more so be like the e-commerce business model.
Yes.
Right?
That's right. So it's the e-commerce side, but it's e-commerce specifically focused on recurring revenue. What is it that your audience is going to have to buy over and over and over again? Focus on that and sell digital, physical, whatever goods to those people.
Okay. Sure.
Another one that I really like, I call sponsored episodes. So I met with a lady today. She interviewed me on her show, and she has more than 50 people-ish a month that are contacting her, asking her to be a guest on her show. But she only records 4 episodes a month. So what I recommended to her is all of those people that are applying that want to be guests on her show, she should have them fill out a form, and she should ask them, how many guests do you have, or how many followers do you have, and have you written a book, and find out who the most credible people are. And she should find, of those 50 people a month, she should find the 2 people that are like the best guests that she wants on the show, and she should invite them on her show for free. And then she should go back to the other 48 people and she should say, okay, I get 50 emails a month of people who want to be on my show. I only have 4 episodes a month. So unfortunately, I can't have you on the show. I'm so sorry. But I do have a sponsored episode program and it's going to cost you $300 or $400. And you can be, I'll interview you on my show. And depending on how much traffic you have, you can increase that price. John Lee Dumas, I think, is charging $5,000 or something like that to do a sponsored episode on his show. And so based on the size of your show, you can start charging, and those actually perform pretty well. Those do a lot better than ads, because if you're a guest on a show, it kind of conveys the credibility of that show, kind of flows through you. So those are sponsored episodes. I love that one.
And when you say like those are better than ads, you're saying like someone paying for a commercial spot on your
That's right.
podcast.
That's right. I really detest ads on podcasts.
Why?
And the reason for that is you look at the data behind that. 96% of people don't trust ads. Like that's a real statistic. 77% of people don't trust essentially anything a business says about themselves. Only 1% of millennials say that a compelling ad would make them trust a business more.
Why is that? Like, is it because ads are not as authentic in terms of like the footage?
And so many people have lied in ads, and they've deceived us in ads, and they twist the truth in the ads, and we just don't that business buying an ad and telling the world how awesome they are just is not very credible. Right. And so, but if they're a guest on the show, right, they were invited on, they're a real person, they're having a real conversation, it feels like they're an authority, and it's a much more credible way to do it than just a regular ad.
So I'm going to speak, right, and I've learned this, from maybe people whose mindsets need a bit of a breakthrough. Okay. So from me, what I'm hearing from you, Nathan, is you can make money with affiliates. David McGill, the affiliate is one. The other one is, he's directly promoting something that he believes in outside of the affiliate as well, which
especially something that's recurring, right? If they pay over and over again.
The MMR. So you have
if you were a health company, it could be supplements, right? Where they buy something on a recurring basis.
And then obviously you have the direct where people pay to actually show up to be your guest. So a couple of questions here. When we talk about the monthly, where are you posting the links? Are you posting the links for them to purchase in your show, and you're briefly mentioning it? Like how is David funneling the people for the affiliates or the e-commerce?
Yeah, so he does episodes about it, right? If he's promoting a new battery backup unit, he'll do episodes where he'll show how his battery backup unit works. He'll show how he installed it. He'll test how long it'll last for. He'll use it and test it and recommend it in his episodes. Or he'll do an episode with somebody else. Maybe he'll do an episode about what do you do when the power goes off? How do you prepare for when the grid goes down? And then he'll promote that product as part of his episode.
I see. Well, and that's the other thing too, is like, it sounds like David is a bona fide expert in his own gardening space, right? So is a bulk of his content like a podcast where he's talking alone, or is he interacting with someone? In the sense of
he does a lot of episodes by himself, but he also does episodes with other people. You can do it both ways.
Right. But that's something to pay attention to. It's you can still get do very well if you know how to market just your own self and your own expertise.
Yeah. Now, if you do interview guests, which I love, interviewing guests is so great because guests can share your content, and you can do live streams with your guests, and you can get them to link to your content. Like it's a much faster way to grow your audience if you do it with guests. But the negative downside is sometimes the credibility is in your guests, not in you. And the way to get around that is make sure you're talking enough during the episode. You're not just asking questions, but you're an active part of the conversation. And then at the end of your episode, do key takeaways. So use AI, use your producer, however you want to do it, and go through and find the key points from that interview and do a summary and talk about it at the end. So you're establishing yourself as an expert and not just an interviewer.
Oh, okay. So these are like little tricks and nuances to help elevate your own brand?
Yeah. So it might be just, you might just say from this interview we just had, what are the 7 most important things that you can learn from that interview, right? And then
I got you.
you go record that afterwards and you add that on the end of the interview. It's like your thoughts, your little monologue after the interview is over.
I love that. That's a great idea. And so, because when I first hear someone like David, right, I'm like, well, he's not going to necessarily interview other people who are experts on gardening, right? So I was kind of
he actually does interview other experts. Yeah,
he does. Okay, great.
Yeah. And can I share one more monetization strategy with you? I think this might be my favorite.
Share thousands, man.
Okay.
Let's talk about making money.
There are so many. When I did my show and I published every day for a year, it was about digital monetization. So that's one of my passions, is all the different ways you can make money online. One that I love, that I think is the holy grail of podcast monetization. And it's interesting. A lot of people think ads is the holy grail of monetization, but that is one of my least favorite of all of them. My favorite, do you want to guess? What do you think my favorite monetization strategy is?
First of all, I need like a list, and then I can really hone in. So hold on. Why don't you give me a hint? Why don't you give me like, a multiple choice option?
So I love recurring revenue streams. So my favorites are going to be recurring. So what do you, can you think of another recurring revenue stream that podcasters do a lot? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Well, I'm not that knowledgeable, right, in this space. That's why I got you as my guy. So that's why. Can you give me options? I can give you an answer if you give me like a couple of hints.
So I think my absolute favorite is membership sites. So you think of like, you take your audience, whoever your audience is, and you create a private community for that.
Oh, like
audience.
School. Like so.
Yeah,
so
like school.
You basically I got you. You introduce them to like a school community.
Inside that community, you can have education. You can have courses for them. You can have a community for them, networking for them. You can have downloadables. You can have live streams that you do with experts there. You can do group coaching there. You can do one-on-one coaching. You can like all sorts of things you can provide to them. And the cool thing is almost all of it is one-to-many. So it almost takes about the same amount of effort to do 10 people in your community as it does to do 10,000 people in your community.
Sure.
And it just scales really well.
Now, my question is, if you're going to do that, what's the difference between utilizing that membership platform according to your software that you've built versus like other established names like School? Right?
Yeah.
Because so many people are already familiar with School.
Yeah. And you can go do that. You can go buy 60 other technologies, right? And pay the monthly fee to those 60 other technologies and be paying $2,000 a month or more for technologies that don't integrate together. Or you can get a membership feature. And to disclaim, our membership feature has not been rolled out to the public yet. We're targeting February for that to be rolled out. Or you can use a technology where they're all integrated together into one platform. It's like Shopify, right? Do you use Shopify because they're all together? Or are you going to use some of the Shopify features and then go license 20 other technologies to try to work with your Shopify, right? Wouldn't it be a lot easier just to have everything that already is integrated together?
No, absolutely. I just was curious because School already has such an established name.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, like, how would you break that competition or break that ice to where people are not necessarily reluctant to migrate over here because School's already got such a great name.
Yeah. So it's kind of like Shopify, right? Shopify doesn't have the best couponing tool out there. There's better couponing tools. And Shopify doesn't have the best inventory management tool. There's better inventory management tools, but everyone just uses Shopify. Why do they do that? Because it's all together in one place. It's so easy and it's so much less expensive. They don't want to go pay for the best couponing tool and the best inventory management and 50 other tools, right? I mean, they pay thousands of dollars every month. They'd rather just pay one low fee. They'd rather have everything integrated together. They'd rather it be a lot easier than having to go duct tape together.
It's the holistic aspect of it all. That's what you're saying. It's not just comparing apples to oranges on the one lever, right? Of say membership and community hosting. It's everything that you get. That's right. I'm getting at.
That's right. And there's a lot of value when they can all work together. right? When you've got this tool that's together with this tool, you've got the synergies of how the files pass together or how the
Okay.
AI works together, right? There's things you can do when all the pieces are together.
So, my question then when I'm listening in, because I mean, I just got a great gold nugget from you when you mentioned how, hey, if you do a follow up takeaway, right, that can greatly enhance your visibility and credibility as an expert, not just an interviewer, right? But I got that because I interacted with you. So,
Yeah.
for people who are licensing the software because they're just getting started or they already have that established team, how can they bridge that gap, right? Because obviously they won't, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but they won't necessarily have the interaction that I just got with you because
Yeah,
you're not getting the one-on-one.
that's right. So we've uh, we've already launched one master course, and it's the podcast launch course, and it has 22 different video lessons in it. Um, and so we're giving them the education one to many, where we're producing it. We just give it for free to the people that sign up for our software. We have two more master courses that are almost done. One is the podcast growth course, and one is the podcast monetization course. And so the same thing, each of those has 22 lessons, and it teaches you these concepts. So you can either hire us and we do it for you, or you can hire us and we'll do it with you. Or if you want to do it
Yeah.
yourself, you at least have the education where you can go learn it.
And did you say all three are already rolled out, or was it just the
The
first one?
the launch course, the first 22 are already rolled out, and the other two have not been rolled out yet, but are getting very close to completion.
Love it. Love it, man. So for the listeners hearing this, if for whatever reason they're still on the fence about starting a podcast, about building a venture around a podcast, what is your last words of wisdom that you want to share with them?
Don't look at it as a get rich quick scheme, right? There's a lot of people that come in and they expect they've published 3 episodes and they're going to be rich. And that's not going to happen. I mean, maybe if you're a celebrity and you have 500,000 followers already, okay, you might be able to pull that off. But for the rest of us, it's probably a long-term retirement strategy and not a get rich quick strategy. It's something that you're going to have to put in the reps. It's like exercise, right? You can't go exercise 3 times and be in shape. You've got to put in the reps over time, over a long period of time, a year, 2 years, right? And then you're going to see the results, and it'll be lifelong results that from that exercise. Same thing's true with podcasting. You're just going to have to put in the time. Set your expectations that it's going to be a year before you're going to be able to do any kind of significant, serious monetization on that.
I love the honesty and transparency. That's what we're about here at Lightspeed Investing. And thank you so much for coming on the show and telling it like it is. There is no get rich quick. There is get rich accelerated. There is get rich because you lay down the foundations, right? And there is get rich over time, but never quick overnight. So thank you for being here, Nathan. For those listening and they're like, okay, this makes sense. I want to learn more, right? What is the next steps? How do I get started?
Yeah, if they're on the left side of that spectrum and they don't have the money for it, they want to do it themselves, go to podup.com. That's PODUP.com. And you can get a free 30-day trial of the software along with a free 30-day podcast launch course where you can learn how to do it yourself. If you're on this other side of the spectrum and you don't have time, but you need a podcast, we have a service called PodAllies, which you can see in my background. That's PODALLIES.com. And you can record the episodes, have the conversations, and we'll book your guests and do 40 other things for you to get done for you podcast production, growth, and monetization engine. If you go to podallies.com, you can book a free call, free podcast strategy call. And at least right now that those strategy calls are with me. And I'm happy to sit down with you and help you figure out your podcast growth and your podcast monetization, even if you never do business with us.
Absolutely. Love it, man. If you are paying attention right now, you are wondering how you can start a podcast. If you already have a podcast, you want additional guidance, especially around monetization and doing it more efficiently. Book that call with Nathan. It's complimentary on the house and see what you can learn and get out of it. Again, Nathan, thank you so much I appreciate you tuning in here from Idaho. By the way, this Saturday is ESPN College Game Day. We are hosting BYU. I'm so excited to see that matchup. We've got Darren Peterson and AJ, obviously the projected number 1 and 2 picks of the NBA. They've actually played in high school against each other. So super excited to see what will happen in Allen Fieldhouse. I'm actually considering going there. I haven't visited Lawrence in a while. So it would be nice to visit my alma mater, see what the updates are. But yeah, man, super grateful for you. Thank you so much for showing up. And not sure if you're going to tune in to the BYU KU game, but I certainly will.
I'm looking forward to it for sure.
And I hope you have a blessed evening, my friend.
Thanks for letting me be on today.
Absolutely.
And
until next time.
And if you guys appreciated what Philip did on this episode and does for you week after week after week, please go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or YouTube and go leave him a rating and leave him a review. That makes a huge difference for people being able to find this awesome content he's creating.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate the plug. You have a good one.
See ya.